A single mother pleaded with her own parents for a loan of 20,000 euros to save her son, but they coldly refused, needing the money for her brother's luxury vacation. 3 years later, when the family lost everything, they appeared at her small bistro, begging for help. But this time, the daughter who once wept shed no more tears. She quietly closed the door, finding justice for herself. What would you do in her situation? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Now, please listen to the story. I sat numbly at my desk. The yellow lamplight fell on a pile of bills, the numbers dancing before my eyes like daggers. 4,300 euros, 6,700 euros, and then, in bold red letters, the amount due before the next hospital admission. From the bedroom next door, Leo's wheezing breath was a heavy, steady rhythm. Each breath felt like a cord tightening around my chest. The phone rang. Dr. Martin's name flashed on the screen. I swallowed hard and answered. His voice was calm but couldn't hide his concern. Eleanor, Leo's condition isn't stable. The special dialysis treatment is urgent. If we delay, his kidney function will decline severely. The cost is approximately 20,000 euros. 20,000 euros. The number hit me like a block of concrete. I tried to keep my voice steady. Doctor, can you give me a few more days? I'll find the money. I promise. I understand, but his condition can't wait long, Eleanor. I nodded, though he couldn't see me. I hung up, stunned. 20,000 euros. For many, it might be the price of a car. But for me, it was a mountain. I had always thought I was strong, but facing my son's illness, I felt smaller than ever. I decided to go to my parents. It would wound my pride, but for my son, I had no other choice. That afternoon, the Paris sun was harsh as I stood before the 2-story house in the suburbs where I grew up. The gate, painted a faded blue, creaked in the wind. I took a deep breath and rang the bell. My mother, Marie, opened the door, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. Eleanor? You didn't say you were coming. I'm sorry, Mum. I need to ask for your help. I stepped into the living room. My father, Jean, sat on the sofa, a newspaper open to the business section. I sat down, my hands clenched. Mum, Dad, Leo is very sick. The doctor said he needs 20,000 euros for a special treatment. I'm out of options. I'm asking if you could lend it to me. I'll pay it back. The room fell silent. My father looked up, his glasses slipping down his nose. 20,000 euros? Eleanor, you have to be realistic. We're saving that money for our retirement. My voice trembled. I understand, but this is your grandson's life. I'm only asking for a loan, not a gift. My mother sighed. Eleanor, we have to think of the future. Your brother, Victor, is starting a new business and needs capital. You should try to find another way. Her words were a cold blade. I looked at them, their faces lined with age, but their eyes held no trace of compassion. I remembered last Christmas, in this very house, when they boasted about selling a plot of land for over 100,000 euros to fund Victor's trip to the Maldives. At the time, I just smiled, thinking their happiness was what mattered. I never imagined that a year later, with my son in the hospital, they would talk to me about being realistic. So you really can't help me? I asked one last time. My father put down his newspaper. You need to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. I let out a laugh, but tears streamed down my face. Yes, I understand now. I stood up, said a quiet goodbye, and walked away. Behind me, my mother's voice followed. Don't be upset, dear. We just want you to be stronger. Back in my small apartment, Leo was asleep, his small hand resting on an old teddy bear. I sat by his bed and whispered, "Don't worry, Mummy will find a way." I opened my laptop and started typing, creating a fundraising page. Help 8-year-old Leo fight end-stage kidney failure. My fingers trembled, but I uploaded the photos, the medical bills, and a picture of my son smiling weakly from his hospital bed. When I clicked post, my heart pounded. I didn't know if anyone would read it, believe it, or help, but at least I hadn't given up. That night, I dreamt of a Christmas dinner from long ago. My parents, Victor, and me. My mother smiled, pouring wine for my father, saying, "With two wonderful children like these, we have no regrets." I had smiled too, not knowing then that their pride was never meant for me. The next morning, I woke to the chill of an autumn morning in Paris. I had less than 200 euros in my purse, and the hospital required a deposit of 5,000 euros. I went to the small bistro run by an old woman, Sophia, where I used to wash dishes as a student. The smell of her famous beef stew rich with herbs and simmering broth made my stomach clench. It was a scent of nostalgia, of mornings when my family was whole. Sophia's kind eyes widened when she saw me. "Eleanor, it's been so long. How are you?" I forced a smile, my voice catching. "I'm okay, Sophia. I have a small favor to ask." I told her everything about Leo. She listened, her eyes welling up. When I finished, she pulled out her purse and handed me a wad of cash. "It's all I have right now, 1,000 euros. It's not much, but please take it. Saving your son is what's most important." I held the money, a wave of warmth and bitterness washing over me. "Thank you," I sobbed. She patted my shoulder. Sometimes strangers show us more kindness than our own blood. That afternoon, I received a call from my mother. Her voice was cheerful. "Darling, we just booked the flights for Victor and his wife to the Maldives. A 20,000 euros all-inclusive package at a 5-star resort. He deserves it for all his hard work." I was speechless. My hand shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. "Mum, you said 20,000 euros? "Yes. Isn't it wonderful? How is little Leo, by the way? Is he feeling better?" I wanted to scream that my son was fighting for his life, that I was begging for every euro, but all that came out was a hoarse whisper. "Yes, thank you for asking, Mum." After the call, I sat in the cold hospital corridor. A woman who sold me stew from her tiny shop gave me 1,000 euros, while my own parents had just spent 20 times that amount on a vacation for my brother. Perhaps to them, my son and I were simply not a worthy investment. That evening, my phone buzzed with a notification. "Victor has posted a new photo." I clicked on it. There he was, standing on a white sand beach in the Maldives, a glass of champagne in his hand. The caption read, "Life is for living." Below it, my mother had commented, "My son, you deserve it all. We are so proud of you." I stared at the glowing screen. 20,000 euros for a vacation, while my son's life hung in the balance. I began to sob, the tears falling onto my son's small, cold hand. Did my parents even know that while they posed for pictures by the ocean, their grandson was fighting for every breath? A year passed since Leo left me. Time didn't heal the wound. It only turned it into a scar that ached with every cold wind. I stood behind the counter of my own small bistro, ladling steaming stew into bowls. Sophia had lent me the money to start it. "You have your hands, your strength, and your kindness," she had said. "That is enough." I didn't disappoint her. I worked from dawn till dusk, and slowly, the bistro became a local favorite. One afternoon, my mother called, her voice as carefree as ever. "Eleanor, how are you? I have some wonderful news. Victor just booked a family trip to Japan. We're all going to Tokyo for 10 days. His investments are doing so well." I remained silent, the image of my son's frail body in the hospital bed flashing in my mind. "I have customers, Mum. I have to go." It had been a year. They had never once mentioned Leo's name. It was as if he had never existed. That evening, Sophia stopped by. "I heard your parents have invested heavily in the stock market," she said, her voice laced with concern. "Hundreds of thousands. It's a big risk. From the day I lost my son, I had stopped expecting remorse or love from them. But hearing this, I remembered every euro they had lavished on my brother and every cold refusal I had faced. Later that night, Sophia called again. "Eleanor, I just heard the news. The market crashed. Your parents? They're ruined. They've lost nearly everything." I stood in silence as a cool breeze drifted through the bistro. Was this the beginning of the justice I had longed for? Or was it a chance to watch them face the consequences of their own coldness? "Leo, I whispered to the small photo by the cash register. Perhaps it's time for me to return to where it all began. The next morning, my mother stood at the bistro's entrance. She looked haggard, her face pale. "Eleanor," she began, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry to come here like this. The bank is about to foreclose on the house. Your father is sick with worry, and Victor has lost everything. We just need 50,000 euros. Please help us this one time. I'm begging you. 50,000 euros. I remembered pleading for less than half of that to save my child, only to be told I had to be realistic. I smiled, a humorless, bitter smile. 50,000 euros, I repeated. I once needed 20,000 euros to save Leo's life. You told me to save for the future. What does your future look like now, Mother? Her head bowed. I was wrong, Eleanor. I didn't know how sick he was. You chose Victor, I said, my voice steady. You chose money, you chose appearances. When I needed you most, you told me to handle it myself. Now, you must handle this yourself, just as you taught me. Do you hate me that much? She whispered. No, I answered calmly. I don't hate you, but I remember, and I will not forget. She turned and walked out into the rain, a small, defeated figure disappearing into the gray mist. That evening, my father called, his voice weak and desperate. Eleanor, please. I need to see you, just once. I met them at the bistro, after closing. The air was thick with unspoken words. Eleanor, my father said, you are our last hope. We need 20,000 euros to save the house. I looked at him. Do you remember, Father? That is the exact amount I needed to save Leo. My mother flinched. My father fell silent. You said you didn't understand how sick he was, I continued, my voice low but sharp. But you understood the 100,000 euros for Victor's vacation. You understood the investment in his business. You understood everything perfectly. But for Leo, the answer was to be realistic. The reality is, my son is gone. I stood up. I won't lend you the money, not because of the money itself, but because unless you feel what it's like to be abandoned, you will never understand how cold it was for me in that emergency room, holding Leo's hand. My mother finally looked at me, her eyes brimming with tears. I'm sorry, Eleanor. Since he's been gone, I can't sleep. I wish I could trade places with him. His memorial doesn't require a house deed, I replied. It requires a heart, and a heart, to be warm, must first not be unfeeling. Go home. When you are ready to speak of Leo as a member of this family, then you can return. But if all you have are numbers and property deeds, then we are finished. I opened the door. They left without another word, two shadows melting into the night. The next day, Victor appeared at the bistro. He looked broken. Eleanor, he stammered, I was wrong. I was so caught up in my own world. I didn't understand. The 100,000 euros for that trip to the Maldives, I asked, my voice flat. Could it have saved my son? He flinched. Maybe, he whispered. Maybe it would have given him a chance. A child's chance isn't maybe, Victor. It's in the choices adults make. Your choice was champagne on a beach. My son's was a drip feed. He pushed a folder across the table. This is everything I have left. The deeds, the accounts. If you help me, help our parents, it's all yours. I pushed it back. I don't trade with my pain. I walked to the door. You chose the Maldives. Now, deal with the consequences. When you have the courage to stand at Leo's grave and say out loud that you chose wrong, then come back. I closed the door on him, the click of the latch final and absolute. That night, I sat down and wrote an email. I detailed everything. The request for 20,000 euros, the 100,000 euros vacation, the missed funeral for a party. I didn't write with anger, but with the quiet calm of someone who had nothing left to lose. I sent it to Sophia and asked her to share it with our extended family. I just want them to know the truth, I wrote. The truth spread quickly. Messages of support poured in. An aunt messaged, I'm so sorry, Eleanor. You did the right thing, Leo would be so proud. For the first time, I felt a crack in the dam of my grief. Then, A message from my mother. Eleanor, please make it stop. Your father is ill. The whole family is shaming us. What do you want? I'll do anything. I typed back slowly. I don't want anyone to suffer. I just want the truth to be told. You don't suffer because of what I said. You suffer because of what you did when you chose silence. I will stop when you can say Leo's name without flinching. The next morning, my mother was at my door again, drenched in a cold rain. I've lost everything, Eleanor. My reputation, my home. Please, take back the email. I can't bear it. You lost your reputation, I said quietly. I lost my son. Can you give him back to me? I go to his grave every week, she sobbed. I talk to him. I wish I could trade places with him. You don't need to trade places with him, I said, my voice softer now. You just need to live in a way that honors the love he deserved. I will not retract the email. The truth is the last memorial I can build for my son. She looked at me, her eyes a mixture of despair and resignation, and then she walked away. I closed the door, the sound of the latch echoing in the quiet bistro, a final, decisive sound. This door would not open to the past again. I looked at the photo of Leo, his smile illuminated by the morning light. You see, my love? I whispered. I did it. That afternoon, I locked the bistro for the last time. A sign on the door read, "Closed." I put on my backpack and walked out into the street. The door behind me was shut, but ahead of me was a long road, wet with rain but bright with city lights. I looked back one last time at the small bistro, its windows dark. That door had closed forever, but within me another had opened, one of peace and self-respect. Justice, I realized, doesn't always need a verdict. Sometimes it just needs to be seen.